Alrighty, this is solving equations for the y equals mx plus b and graphing notes, but our equations are not going to be in the y equals mx plus b form. Remember, this is your slope, this is the y-intercept, okay? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put the equation in slope-intercept form. That means we need to get the y by itself. So instead of solving for x, we're solving for y now. Find the y-intercept and graph this point first. Remember, a positive will be above the origin and a negative will be below the origin. Find the slope. Use the slope to find more points on your graph. Remember, slope means rise over run. It's also fall over crawl, or it's your change. Remember, the little triangle is a delta sign. It means change in the y over the change in the x. Okay? So use the top number to go up and down and the bottom number to go right or left. Okay? So this goes up or down, and this one goes just to the right. If your slope is positive, you will move up, then right from the y-intercept. If your slope is negative, you'll move down and then right from your y-intercept. So your y-intercept is your starting point when you're graphing. If your slope happens to be in decimal form, you must put it in fraction form in order to do the rise-run. If you do not have a y, then solve for x and it will be a vertical line. We also need to remember the Buck's Hoy, right? This means vertical line, undefined slope, x equals, or we're on the x-axis. Hoy is horizontal line, horizontal, I missed the zon. Horizontal line, zero slope, and y-axis, or y equals, okay? So going down here, looking at our first set of problems, solve the following equations for y. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to move the 3x over to the other side of the equal sign. To do that, we need to do the opposite operation. We need to remember that we cannot combine unlike terms. We can only combine like terms. So x's cannot be combined with just numbers. Those are different things. That 3x cancels out. I'm left with y on this side and 8 minus 3x on the other side of my equal sign. Now I have my y equals mx plus b, right? Here's my plus b, and then I have mx over here, okay? So my slope is the m, which is -3 in this case. Watch your signs, positives and negatives. Then the y-intercept for our graph will be the b part, which is our +8, and we want to write that as a coordinate point, okay? Let's look at number 2 real quick. We need to get y by itself, so I need to move this 4 over here with the x so they can hang out together. To do the opposite is to subtract 4, because this is a +4 from both sides. So now I have my y equals mx plus b. It's just kind of switched around, right? So our slope is whatever the multiplier is to the x. That's an understood 1. So our slope is 1, or you can think of it as 1 over 1. So you have your rise over your run. And then the y-intercept is your -4, okay? So I want you to pause the video, and I want you to do 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. And then come back and check your answers. So pause it now and do the work, and then come back. Okay, so here is numbers 3, 4, and 5 worked out for you. If you need to pause the video, you can, so that you can just kind of check your work and see where you missed things or whatever. Then let's go on to the graphing. Then I want you to finish 7, 8, 9, and 10. Sorry. 9 and 10 are going to use your Vux-Hoy, so you need to think about those for your slope and your y-intercept. So pause now and work on those, and then come back. Okay, so here is 7, 8, 9, and 10. 9 gets you to y equals -4. I'm going to talk about the special cases right now. So we're going to use the Hoy over here. Remember, that means we have a horizontal line that has a 0 slope. So our slope is 0, and since it's y equals, we do have the y-intercept at -4. Then on number 10, we get to x equals, so we're going to be using the Vux part, right? Which means our slope is undefined, and we have a vertical line. That means going up and down. It will never cross that y-axis. So your y-intercept does not exist. Now, let's look at 11 real quick. Now we're just doing the same thing, but we're also going to put everything onto the graph. So we need to take this equation, we need to solve it for y so that we get our y equals mx plus b form. This is standard form. When we're graphing, we really want to use the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to rewrite our problem, and then solve for my y. So I need to subtract my 12x from both sides. I can't subtract the x's from the numbers because they're not like terms. Trying to get it all in there. Okay, and then I need to divide by 3 to get the 3 away from the y. That's undoing that multiplication. So those go to 1, and I have my 1y left over. Then I have 9 divided by 3, which is 3. Then I have a -12 divided by 3, which gives me -4x. Now I'm in y equals mx plus b, so my slope is whatever's multiplied to the x, which is this -4. Or you can think of it as -4 over 1, so you've got your rise over your run. And then the y-intercept is +3, so 0, 3. So I'm going to take this information right here and I'm going to put this on the graph. So my y-intercept is at 0.03. That means 0 means I don't go left or right on the x-axis. But the 3 means I go up to +3 on my graph. There's my y-intercept. Then from that point, I'm going to use my slope to help me plot the rest of my points. This means I rise, but since it's negative, I'm actually falling, right? So I'm going to go down, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the 1 means I go to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I can continue doing that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then we can just take some sort of straight edge, draw a line, and we're done. Let's do 12 together, and then I'm going to have you do the other ones on your own. So we're going to have the 9x minus 3y equals 6. Y needs to be by itself, so I'm going to get rid of this 9x and move it to the other side of my equal sign by subtracting, doing the opposite operation. This goes away. I have -3y equals 6 minus 9x. I cannot put these numbers together because they are not like terms. Then I need to still get y by itself. I need to get rid of this -3 that's being multiplied by dividing by -3 on both sides of my equation. Divide everything. This goes to 1, so I've got just a y on one side. 6 divided by -3 gives me -2. -9 divided by -3 gives me a positive 3x. Okay, now I'm in my slope-intercept form, so I'm going to slide up here a little bit. Slope is what's multiplied to the x, that's the m, which is 3, or you can think of it as 3 over 1, so that we've got rise over run. And then our y-intercept is going to be at the plus b, which is 0, -2. So the y-intercept is my starting point for graphing. I'm going to go to 0, -2. And from that point, I'm going to use the slope to plot the rest of my points. So from here, since this is a positive y, means I go up on my y-axis. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. 1, 2, 3, to the right 1. You always go to the right, but depending on whether your slope is positive or negative means you go up or down, okay? So, that gets you your graph. So that's number 12. So I want you to work on the rest of the problems, and I think they go through 18. Working on graphing these on your own, you've got to get y by itself, so you're going to have to do some work down here, then find your slope and your y-intercept, plot your y-intercept, and use your slope to plot the other points to make your line. So pause your video, do the work, come back, and you can check your answers. Okay, and you may have to do some pausing to, in order to check your work and that kind of stuff. So there's 13 and 15. Here is 14 and 16. And there are answer keys that you can look at also. And here's 17 and 19. And then here is 18. Make sure you get these correct for your notes so that you have something to refer to, and then you can do the solving and graphing exercises after this. And keys are located in various places around the room. Okay, so use the helpers around the room to help you figure out what you may be not quite getting, and use the answer keys to check your work, and make sure you turn in your work to me. Keep notes in your journals for me.